Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. It's here. Holiday season is upon us. My favorite time of the year. I am so excited. And I want to give this gift to you because everyone deserves to thrive in their life. Everyone deserves to be healthy. It is actually your birthright. And that's why I'm doing 25% off the entire site. Yes, I'm doing 25% off holistichumanperformance.co. Between our digital courses, one-on-one coaching and healings, our holistic beauty products, essential oil collections, you are getting an automatic 25% off everything. And this goes from now until Cyber Monday. I hope you give the gift of health and wellness to yourself and to the others you care about, you love. It's time we all tapped into our innate wisdom of health and going on this healing journey together. It's all about the we, and I'm here with you, and let's thrive together. I'll put all of the link in the show notes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw Vitale, and today we have two very special guests with us. We have Jessica Cross, who is the founder of Sound for Stress, and then we have Julie Afsahi. I think I said that right? Did I get it?
You got it.
Okay.
Yes.
And she is the founder of Soul Strong Yoga, and they are both the co-authors of Seasons of Sound. And I'm so excited to take a deep dive into this topic. I am obsessed with sound healing and learning about the frequencies and all of the positive health benefits it has for us. So without further ado, ladies, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome.
Yes. Okay. So why don't we start here? How did you both discover sound healing? Like, how did you come across? Julie, we'll start with you.
Okay, great. So I own this yoga studio, Soul Strong Yoga. It's right outside Austin, Texas. And I think we opened our doors a little over 6 years ago, and Jessica was one of our first teachers on the staff. And she immediately asked if she could bring sound healing to our studio. So really, Jessica and her classes were my first experience with what we'll later talk about, modern sound healing with the singing bowls and the gongs. And for me specifically, like when I first heard the gong, I was like, what is this thing? And I immediately made her put together a workshop for our entire staff for how to play the gong. The studio bought a gong, and I went all in on the gong. So for me, like high stress, high strung person, and I was really like having a hard time feeling any kind of stress when listening or later playing the gong. So thank you, Jessica.
That's super generous. Thank you, Julie.
Jessica, how did you first stumble upon, sound healing and utilizing the tools and learning about them?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Gena. It's probably one of a story that many people can relate to if you're listening to this episode. If you've been in a yoga class and you've had a transformational experience, it's a pivotal moment in your life where it kind of changes everything that you have, going forward. And that was the experience for me. So I had recently finished my 200-hour and still working in corporate, sometimes 70-hour, 80-hour work weeks, just in very, very intense culture that I was working in. And I took a mental health day, landed in a yoga class that I had never been before. I'd never taken class from the teacher or anything like that. It was just a, kind of happenstance class. And in Shavasana, the teacher was playing singing bowls. And it was one of those moments where you're simultaneously so relaxed and also like hungry for info. You're like, what is happening? What are you doing up there? Please tell me more. So I was, yoga teachers in the room. Jen, I know you're a yoga teacher. It's one of those situations where students like waiting for you after class, like wanting to ask all of the questions about what just happened. And that was the catalyst to Sound for Stress, being a part of Julie's amazing studio at Soul Strong, our trainings, and then ultimately Seasons of Sound, our book.
Yeah, let's talk about the book. So how did you both come together to create this it's like a guide for people to understand, because there is science behind this. Like there is so much evidence and research that supports sound healing, which actually in I did write about this in my book too when I first stumbled upon sound healing, and they call it vibroacoustic healing in like research terminology. So I'm like, this is interesting. And then I started to stumble and like read more up on it. I'm like, why isn't this everywhere? Like, why don't we utilize this? What's going on here? So how did you two come together to curate and create this book?
Yeah, I think there's so many things I want to talk about.
Yeah, no,
I was
don't
like,
worry,
oh my gosh.
we have time. We have time.
Thank you. So, well, the book was really, based on Jessica and I having a lot of experience with leading training. So I have a lot of years now under my belt of leading yoga, meditation, and mindfulness trainings. And then Jessica, years of leading sound certification trainings that she's developed and created. So I just kept pressuring her, along with so many of our trainees, like, Jessica, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. Like, her manual just kept getting bigger and bigger. And we were like, it's time to write a book. And then I don't know what happened. Too much peer pressure. Somehow I got wrapped into all of it as well. So then we just really took a lot of the content that we had already created, but we wanted it to be very approachable. So, and somehow simultaneously, for people who've been leading sound baths for a long time, to pick up the book and learn something new and maybe have a new lens in which they can look at sound healing. So kind of organically through conversations, we came up with this idea of seasons, because in our lives and in Austin, we had been leading a lot of sound baths in alignment with the seasons. But then through more discussion, we were like, okay, this is also seasons of our life. And then we also kind of had this epiphany of realizing it's all aligned to the sacred sound Om, which we dive into in the book. And now that we finished one book, all we want to do is write another book, because when you're in the it's always how it goes. So now we're working on the next one. Hopefully we'll get started in the next couple of weeks after we knock out a couple of trainings that we have lined up that we're excited about. But yeah, it was so fun. And the illustrations, it was really fun collaborating with an artist on that as well.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. And I have it right here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I have the book right here, Seasons of Sound. And again, it's like an easy read, and it really breaks down, again, like I said, the research. This is an ancient practice. This is nothing new. Like, our ancestors were doing this, and they used it specifically for healing, for rituals. So, Jessica, let's talk about, the benefits of sound. Like, how does that benefit our health? How does that benefit our well-being? What does it do to, our physiology?
Oh, fun question. This is one too. So if you've been in a sound bath, you may already be thinking of things that have happened for you as those benefits. And then also too, if you're listening and you've never experienced a sound healing experience, don't worry. We'll make it approachable for you too. So, sound offers a wonderful tool for meditation and a rest response. So in our meditation experience, we know there's tons and tons and tons of research of why meditation is beneficial, but sometimes we find, sitting in perfect seat, in a quiet space, not moving, trying to keep a completely calm and clear mind, all the things that we think meditation should be, can be really tough for many people. And sound healing offers a wonderful tool for us to be able to meditate with. Actually, Julie was just telling me about a study that she was reading recently. I believe it is in the New York Times, and she can hop in here and tell more about it, about how metal or Tibetan singing bowls are showing a ton of benefit in the meditation space and in the physiological response to our meditation practices. So there's even more research coming out that's very fascinating. So it's a great support for meditation. When we are in a sound experience, we are working with our autonomic nervous system, which is our rest and our digest, and also our fight, flight, so parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system. And in the parasympathetic state, this is when we're able to process feelings. We're able to actually physically digest our food. Cellular healing happens. And it is a state that we often, as modern people living in this world, we have a hard time accessing because we're constantly scrolling, or we're in the third meeting of the morning and our demands are very high. So sound healing offers the ability and a tool for us to tap into our parasympathetic nervous system. When the singing bowls, gongs, chimes, things are played in a very calm, predictable, clear manner. And there's a process through this playing that the instruments or the sound waves and our bodies sync up to one another, and it's called entrainment. So in entrainment, if you think about playing a gong, playing with a beat of your heart, or also with your exhale, you begin to sync up with the sound of the gong. Same thing happens in a sound healing experience, and also same thing can happen if you're listening to really calm music on Spotify or YouTube, or wherever you get your music. This is a wonderful, very accessible tool for us to use, and it's growing. It's so exciting. You mentioned research. More and more things are coming out, and just through our process of the book, we're seeing the benefits. We're also seeing the interest grow, which is really, really exciting. So we hope there's even more research, more funding, more folks that are dedicated to this practice, because we need more of it.
Yeah, there's a frequency for everything in this universe, including all diseases. And I know for myself, when I first, because I was now that I look at it, I wouldn't say this while I was going through this, but a very high strung perfectionist, overwhelmed person, always overthinking. And in my head, always, it was I was in survival mode. It's a sympathetic response. And I started with yoga in college, and that was my first, in kind of that realm. And then I was introduced later on to sound, and I'm like, this is really interesting. Why don't we know about this? This makes my body feel amazing. Let's do this. So, and then, eventually getting certified and things like that. But just learning about this ancient practice is so important. It's ingrained in our DNA. This is something that we have within us. And I want to talk about this because this is very important for people to know, and whoever wants to speak about on this, but there is a difference between sound healing and music. So what we listen to on the radio is so different from sound healing. So do you want to just touch on that and talk about the difference between that? Because I always get that question, and it's very important to discuss, because there are certain frequencies that can make you sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, there's a few different pieces to this differentiation between music and sound healing. So with the idea of entrainment, that your nervous system, so we're talking about indicators like your blood pressure, your heart rate, the rate at which you breathe, sync up with the sounds around you. So let's just take a totally scientific lens, like don't worry about the chakras and any kind of yoga energetics going on. So if you imagine that, like your nervous system will have a different response to dissonant sounds or loud, surprising sounds, or let's just say like death metal versus the sounds of ocean waves, right? Because on it's totally just common sense, right? Your nervous system is kind of syncing up with the sounds around you, and that serves a evolutionary purpose, right? Because when we hear surprising sounds, loud clanging sounds, usually we should be alerted of some kind of danger. So snapping into that sympathetic response where we're like, go, go, go. Also, if you're interested in the yoga energetics and specifically like the chakra system, a lot of sound healing tools are designed and built to align with the chakra system. And in our book, Seasons of Sound, we have like a nice little diagram, a little chart to explain how that breaks down with the different chakras. But for example, perhaps you are interested in like rooting and grounding and working on nourishing a sense of safety, security, and connection. You might listen to a sound bath specifically designed to help nourish the root chakra, meaning the singing bowl player might spend more time working with the low C bowl, or if you're listening to gong, they might play just slower, deeper, more resonant sounds on the gong to help nourish that feeling of safety, security, stability. So there's also, in our book too, we talk about other types of frequencies as well, like the solfeggio frequencies based on Gregorian chants. There's different frequencies that we use in yoga, but I think whatever you are designing with this sound bath, or however you're experiencing the sound bath, your perception of what's happening is very important too. So for some people, they just resonate more with, ethereal crystal sounds and chimes. And then other people just resonate more with like deeper sounds. And from a yogic perspective, there's rationale for that too. It's like what you need to attract and bring in, you will. So it's important to you to just pay attention to preference. So if you're more drawn to a certain sound healing modality, you probably need that, right? You're probably seeking that. So listen to your intuition as well, is what I'm saying. Like it's probably onto something.
Love that. Jessica, what's your favorite tool to utilize?
Oh,
Sound
I
tool.
always,
I know
love
it's a
this
hard
question.
question. I know.
Yeah, it's so hard. I simultaneously am like excited because I have to pick something and sad at the same time. So
I know.
I think my favorite tool is, the first one that I was introduced to, and it's the Tibetan singing bowls. I love the sound of Tibetan singing bowls. It's just, as Julie was saying, like it's something that I resonate with really deeply. Especially like a large, deep, really gorgeous Tibetan singing bowl played very slowly is probably my favorite thing in the whole world. But of course, I play crystal singing bowls very frequently, and those are some of the most loved instruments in the sound baths that we do. Is we have people that really seek those out, and of course, I love the gong and harmonium. I play all kinds of things, so it's so hard to choose.
Did you play like any instruments growing up?
Yeah, I did. I was a musician as a child. Funny enough, Julie and I were both flute players. We both play the flutes.
I played the
Oh,
clarinet.
we should get together. It's gonna be so much fun.
I mean, I don't play anymore, but
we can dust off the old skills and see how it goes, right?
Right. So funny.
Super funny. Yeah. But it's one of those things that I think that's maybe I know you're a sound healer too, Gena. And, maybe this is something that resonates with you is one of the beautiful things about many of the sound healing instruments is you don't necessarily have to have a musical background in order for you to play for yourself or for others. There are tips and tricks, and that's why we wrote Seasons of Sound, is to make it as approachable as possible for, all levels of experience. But the instruments are designed to be, very approachable and applicable to everybody, depending on their interest level. And I think practice goes with everything, and that's what we tell our sound healing practitioner students: is you have to practice. It's just like anything else, but it's so approachable no matter what. Even just 5 minutes a day would make a big difference.
Yeah, you discuss that a lot in terms of like if you are a sound healing practitioner and you are leading like groups and one-on-ones and things like that, doing it for yourself is so important. Before we actually hopped on, I have like a mini gong behind me and I was like, da, 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 and I just played it like just to, kind of get me into it really just soothes and gets you grounded into your body. I think one of my favorite, and I'm just like I'm all about like body-based tools. Like that's just what I'm about. And I think that's why I resonate so much with these tools, is because you just instantly feel it in your soul, in your body. You're like, ooh, what's this? Oh, I didn't notice that was there. Okay. It's such a cool experience. Now, you discuss, and actually, Julie, you mentioned this before, modern sound healing. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, just the example you brought up relates well to this question. So if you think about yourself as a baby in the womb, you were already experiencing sound healing, right? So even I don't know, I was probably like some deep dive on Reddit or something, but I saw these, I saw this video of different things that babies do in the womb. So it was like showing babies in the womb, like yawning, kicking, jumping, but also crying in the womb, which I thought was really interesting. So to like the ambient noise of the womb is soothing to a baby. So if you've ever been around a baby or had kids, oftentimes like a car ride, a vacuum cleaner, humming to the baby, or the baby self-soothing through humming is calming to the nervous system. So we not only from an evolutionary standpoint as mammals have evolved with sounds, but like within your own lifetime, you have evolved with sounds. So with all of that said, that is kind of the basis for ancient sound healing, is the hum, or listening to the sounds of crickets at night, or listening to the ocean waves. Things that you are drawn to that soothe the nervous system out in nature or within yourself as a natural body. Those are ancient tools. Also evolved into, of course, chanting, drumming. We mentioned the flute. That's one of the oldest instruments. The didgeridoo from Australia, one of the oldest instruments. Yeah,
I love
there is actual research studies too on it being healing for the nervous system as well. And I just want to say before I forget, when we're talking about the nervous system, we're not just talking about feeling calm in the moment. So we mentioned, playing the gong and feeling just instantly like this sensation of calm washing over us. Well, just allowing that opportunity, just a little window each day, is going to be a domino effect and create big changes for the body. Because when you start allowing the body to move between a heightened state and a relaxed state, you are changing your brain. You're actually physically changing your brain and the way that you navigate the world, which has like all sorts of hormonal benefits for us, helps us with sleep, anti-aging, pain management. So it becomes really, really important. Modern sound healing is more of the instruments that we write about in Seasons of Sound, such as the crystal singing bowls, are a newer addition. I noticed too, Jessica has a great Instagram account with Sound for Stress, but I saw she had, I think it was today or yesterday, you bought a new crystal harp. That was gorgeous.
Yeah,
hope I see
it's
it
hard to not
next time
mention
I
that as
see
my
you.
favorite. Yeah.
So that's a modern sound healing tool that is beautiful.
I
So we're
love
starting to
the
see,
crystal harp. Love.
It's incredible.
It is
It's
like
incredible.
angelic.
It really is.
Immediately going to higher dimensions when you listen to this.
I think someone commented and said something. I think this must be what heaven sounds like, right?
I think so.
It has
I
to
think
be.
so.
I cannot wait to play that. So Jessica knows we'll see each other this weekend. So maybe you could bring it
No
with
pressure.
you. But yeah, so the modern sound healing landscape, because there's so much interest right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to evolve and get bigger and bigger. I think we're probably going to see, like how we always see like yoga and pharmaceutical commercials and stuff. I think sound healing is like the next thing
I think
that
so
we're
too.
going to see. It's going to become mainstream for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I was so this was like a TED talk that I was listening to. I cannot remember his name right now, but um he was discussing, and they actually did not publish this. Like they won't, yeah, because so he is a scientist, and they have rules, regulations, like the whole thing. They will censor people. So he was talking about specific hertz that actually destroy cancer cells, which are between 100,000 and 300,000 hertz. And he was discussing how like the future will be having vibroacoustics and sound frequency healing inside of hospitals. I don't know when that will be. I think that it's more up and coming because you're having more of like these integrative wellness floors that are opening up in hospitals. But I thought that was really interesting and fascinating to learn about that. You can utilize this to potentially destroy like cells that are damaging to your body, cancer cells.
And
yeah,
we already use sound in medical settings and hospitals for bone regeneration. So if you have a fracture or break, they might use really targeted sound, and the vibrations help stimulate with regeneration of bones. So yeah,
how cool is that?
How cool is that? Yeah, exactly.
Like a non-invasive tool that actually just benefits you. I mean, sign me up. Why aren't we doing this?
right.
Oh man, so cool. Okay, so tell me about the trainings that you have for anybody, that's in the area, Austin, Texas, right? That wants to potentially learn more, potentially become certified, because you obviously playing around, being intuitive with them, but you also want to have the teachings and the understanding of like the physiology system and kind of how that interacts with like your energy system, your body, and things like that. So tell me about like the trainings that you conduct and like just more about that. I'm so curious.
Oh yes, thanks for asking. So yeah, we're located in Austin, and our trainings are in Texas right now. So we're at Julie's beautiful studio just north of Austin, and we're in Central Texas and also West Texas. So we have multiple dates coming up in 2025. So if you're interested in that, I'm sure we can share the link and things and show notes and all that later.
Yep.
But our trainings, I actually really love what you said about playing around a little bit on your own, and how wonderful that is, and then the need to get trained. And I so agree. I think the students that come to a training environment who have some sort of personal practice, be it just a single singing bowl at home, or maybe they've had the opportunity to play in other settings, a gong or some sort of modern sound healing instrument, I feel that they do the best because they have a personal practice, even just like a little layer of experience to add to the training. Now, to say you don't have to have that, of course, as we mentioned, the singing bowls, the gongs, et cetera, all very approachable and beginner friendly in terms of skill level. So you don't necessarily have to have that, but we love seeing folks who have, they've had that bowl at home, they've played it a few times, they've noticed something's happening, but they're not exactly sure what or how to carry it forward into yoga setting or offer sound baths for the community. Our practitioner training is it's 3 days, so we do a real deep dive into not only modern sound healing but the history, the science. Really set you up for a good foundation of understanding, the practice itself, and then a lion's share of the time is practice. So we have tons of bowls, tons of gongs, all of the accoutrement, having all of the complementary instruments there for you to play. We give you specific exercises that you work in partners or groups. And then we also offer the opportunity to play and reflect. So sharing for a larger group, getting feedback from your fellow participants as well as us. So we feel as if the lecture is very important. We know it is, and everyone's very interested in that, but the transformation happens when people are practicing, and we create a space for that. So they have multiple different applications and locations, different instruments to play. So they get that real hands-on experience. So our kinesthetic learners are listening. It's not just reading a book.
No,
you get everything. Yeah. So it's so much fun though. We talk to people who, have come from all over the country to see us, and we watch them flourish in their practice, and it's been wonderful. And Julie and I have really good plans for 2025 in terms of making the training a little bit wider. So if you're listening to this now and you're like, what's going on, maybe check in with us and see what we have to share in terms of news.
amazing. How exciting is that?
So
So
awesome.
cool. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Okay, so as we wrap up, are there any words of wisdom you would like to leave the listeners? Julie, we'll start with you.
Ooh. Yeah, I think with sound healing, if you're a little timid to start, or you think it might be, interesting to you, but you're not quite ready to sign up for a sound bath, there's a couple of options. So one is you could do something as simple as starting with humming. And if you have time, maybe Google bumblebee's breath is a great way to start a sound healing practice in which you don't need any tools except for your voice. And then of course too, you can always listen to Spotify. You might choose, if you're interested in the chakra system, you might choose a chakra and look up crystal singing bowls for that chakra, like the heart chakra or the throat chakra. So those can be really easy ways to start a sound healing practice, because I know a lot of times people are kind of intimidated to go to an entire 75-minute sound bath. So that might be a good way to ease yourself in.
Love that.
I'd love to share.
Yes. Jessica, tell us. What are your words of wisdom?
Well, I don't know. It's funny. I'm glad you asked Julie first, because I was like, Julie's so wise. She always has such beautiful things to say. And I just love sharing space with her. And I'm so glad we get to have these conversations with you too, Gena. It's so fun. I think if you're listening and you have a curiosity about sound, back to what Julie was saying earlier, there's something there for you. There is something that's calling you that you should explore, and make it simple. It doesn't need to be a 75-minute sound experience, or going all in and buying every single crystal bowl and gong that you can possibly get your hands on. Make it simple, and ask questions. So if you're going to a sound bath and you're feeling a little timid, don't hesitate to reach out, send them an email or a DM, and just ask questions about what you can expect, and make yourself as comfortable as possible so that you can have the best experience.
Love that. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Ladies, I'm going to add all this in the show notes as well, but where can people find you?
So this is Julie, and you can find me at Soul Strong Yoga on all the platforms, or soulstrongyoga.com. And we have a little sound section on our website that you can see all of our upcoming sound trainings. And Jessica, do you want to go?
Sure. You can find me. It's just at Sound for Stress, soundforstress.com, or Sound for Stress on all the platforms. And then collectively, you can find Julie and I at seasonsofsoundbook.com. Our book is available there and also on Amazon.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your knowledge. What a great synergy you both have with one another. I love it. I could feel the energy.
Thank
Aw.
you.
Yes. So guys, if you like this episode, like, share, subscribe, rate and review, share with friends, and we'll talk in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.